Welcome to today's Zaleski Sports Show. Jason here. This is Dan. Welcome, everybody. Let's see. Today it's a bit of an upside down world out there, Dan. We're going to talk about
it. Really is.
We're going to talk about that. We've got a weekly schedule, and we're really going to talk a lot about the upside down today. So I'm going to leave it at that, and Dan's got something to talk.
Yeah, it's all yours, and it's all now.
Upside down. Stranger Things version of Merry Christmas.
It is Christmas.
Yeah, you were coming on the way in and Christmas.
Yeah. Until then there's just a line, and it is anarchy out there. The roads, I would say this, the roads are worse today than they were when school was canceled on Thursday.
And do some schools, hang on here, I'm verifying a couple things here. Our musical selections are a little, there we go, now we're good. Are there any schools in session today?
No.
No.
There are games, but...
which we'll talk about later, because you've got a place to be later on this evening. I can see outside over McDill Pond, and it is snowing like a white Christmas out there.
Yeah, it started out as rain, like ice, like freezing rain, and then now there's snow on top of it. So be careful.
Was that the plan for the day?
I think
snow?
so.
Okay.
I think so.
All right.
2-3 inches, they say.
I have no idea. 2 to 3 inches. But there may be some rain tomorrow, I heard. Or Christmas or something. Or both or something. I don't know.
It's winter.
Who's in charge of this?
Yeah, it's winter. You have to expect these things.
Who is in charge of this? Speaking of who's in charge of things, I'm glad you brought up the weather, Dan, because our friend of the show, Jordan, here, has got a great reminder for us as we're going to go just outside of the Upside Down. How does that work? I don't remember the show all that well, but they're able to get to a portal and then come back to the regular world. Yeah. And then later on, as the series goes on in Stranger Things, they're able to easily identify the portals. Right, but like that first season, they just happened.
I saw the first season.
Okay,
but that was enough.
Well, you can imagine. Yeah. In later seasons, now they're it's like driving on the freeway. They're in, they're out, they're off, they're on. They're dominating the whole. Anyway, so this back to Thursday though. Jordan's got it, and this is a message to all of our athletic director friends out there, because the rest of winter sports will have postponed games, sometimes canceled. Postponed will be the more common vernacular and the more common occurrence. And then in the spring sports, we're outside, and we're going to have that too. A lot of our athletic director friends don't know the difference. They interchange these words, but they mean something. Words mean something. That's why postponed and canceled, that's why it's two different words. Words mean things, and please use the right one so we know how to help you.
Yeah, not many get canceled. Usually that's a non-conference game where someone has to travel a long way, and especially later in the season, instead of postponing it, just be like, it doesn't matter. Yeah. Right?
Yeah, correct.
Because there's only 2 weeks left or something. And
it's such a simple rule of thumb. If you're going to play the game later, it's postponed. Yeah. And 92% of them are getting played later. So use the right words, because for us, when you tell us canceled, we take it off of our schedule, and because the train here doesn't really stop for anybody. And,
that's true.
Yeah. And when you say canceled, we're taking it off and we're moving on. So help us out. Help us to help you in that way. Okay, into the Upside Down. Let's get. Here's our. We better move this. We're going to get in the way of Mark here. Into the Upside Down we go. We had a weird last couple of weeks, really. I think that's why we're in the Upside Down today. Some of this my own doing, some of this our doing, and then most of it's your doing. And here's one. This was back on December 11th. Mark tells us that Milwaukee Vincent got beat by Milwaukee Goldemeyer 125-25. Took a 100-point loss. How does that happen? 100 points. How does that happen?
I would say that it takes two teams for that to happen.
Takes two to tango.
Man, it's really strange because remember when we were growing up, Vincent was the premier program in the entire state. Won 3-4 state titles in a row. right?
Yeah, and I think that's what Mark's getting at here, like storied program.
Yeah.
Vincent, but got beat by 100.
Yeah. Yeah, both coaches are to blame for that, I think.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. Okay, more updates from Mark in the Upside Down that we had in the last week or two. This was just from earlier this week. On Saturday, I believe, Sun Prairie East beat Madison La Follette 123-92.
Hey.
It's over 200 combined points.
It's a different game there than it is here.
What is that? Yeah, right. People, most of the viewers watching this probably are like, no, that's the JV and the varsity combined. Nope. That was 2 18-minute halves and 123-92. Of course, Arkansas State recruits big-time player Chris Davis poured in 53. He had 40% of the scoring for just his team, 25% of the scoring for the entire game. One guy. Get up. Let your kids shoot the ball, coaches.
Yeah, we are definitely seeing we are in a metamorphosis here, right? Mm-hmm. Where we have some
I hope so.
Where we have some coaches and some players and teams that are starting to understand that, we can score whenever we want to. Right?
Yeah.
So why pass the ball 6 times before we score? If my point guard can beat his defender to the basket, keep beating him until they stop you.
Right. Why do we need to have a mandatory 6 passes before I'm allowed to do that?
Yeah.
If I can just do it right away.
Yeah. Why not?
123-92.
I like it.
123-92. There we go. Thank you, Mark. We'll hear more from Mark during today's show as well. Friend of the show, Mark.
I'm sure that both of us have broadcasted high-scoring games, especially every once in a while when we go down to the yearbook tournament, which is
coming up on Thursday.
Yep, this week. You don't know the players, right? And you try to do research in the 15 minutes before the games to try to figure out how to say the names and stuff. And some of those games are really up-tempo, up and down, and it's really hard to call a game like that.
Yeah, this first, from my experience, when it's a team I'm unfamiliar with, I'm usually spending the first 8 to 9 minutes of game time connecting the names to the numbers on the jerseys, right?
Yep.
And you're exactly right. If we've scored a combined 40 points in the first 6 minutes,
yeah.
I've not been able to connect the names to the numbers yet.
You can't write the stuff down.
Right. Yeah, that's the other thing, right? It's usually a one-man booth, and so we're in charge of our own stats. So you're trying to write it down. Yeah. It's fun, though. It's fun.
Talking about upside down stuff real quick before you get into where you were last week.
Well, we got more. Well, it's all upside down, so.
Yeah. Administrators of these basketball games, help us out.
All right.
At least put the fouls on the scoreboard.
Be a big help.
Right? Mm-hmm. Because we are not close to the floor. In a perfect world, we'd be courtside.
Yeah.
Right?
Every now and then we get to be, but not very often.
Yeah. So we are as far away from the court as you could possibly be, because that's where the ADs put us. Mm-hmm. And we can't hear the officials calling out 1-4 red with a push. All that you see are fingers, and you do have announcers.
Yeah, right. Charlie Brown, right?
Yeah, and have no idea. So I was at Newman this past week. Sometime must have been Friday, and I had no idea how many fouls people had.
Yeah.
No clue.
Yeah.
Help us out.
Yeah.
Help us out.
Yeah. Be a big help. Get the microphone, the PA. Let your voice travel to the microphone. You're more able to be heard that way. If you're talking, I'm assuming it's because you want to be heard. So if you want to be heard, let that microphone down here a little bit. Let your voice travel to it. It'll be a little more crisp and clear. Yeah, and to your point, Dan, every now and then you get an official, from the free throw line or somewhere. He doesn't come all the way to the table.
Yeah, he's just doing fingers.
He's got here, and then that's it. Like the New York Stock Exchange going on out there.
At least put it on the scoreboard.
or say it with some sort of clarity.
Yeah.
Maybe we can hear that way. The scoreboard's a good option. We stay in the upside down from wacky things that happened. We're going to go to Friday because there were a couple of wacky things that happened on Friday. Let's go to Wausau East at halftime. So halftime score here: Marshfield 47, Wausau East 20. So 27 points. You're our resident math expert here. 27-point deficit there, and then the Wausau East girls were in Marshfield, and they had a 28-point deficit. So I'm coming up with 55.
Yeah.
So the East Lumberjacks were down by 55 at halftime. It's a little upside down.
Yeah, the girls make sense. Just because of numbers wise, and Marshfield girls are
10 in the program at East for the girls.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, they're learning every game.
The Wausau East boys have been rolling teams.
7-0 on Friday at 7:15 p.m.
And I don't think that most of those games were close.
No, not really. We went through some of their point totals last week.
Yeah.
Not really.
Yeah.
Okay.
I would say that Marshfield's ceiling is really high.
On the boys' side.
On the boys' side.
Yeah.
Really high.
Yeah. Well, they haven't played up to it yet.
Yeah.
They are figuring it out, as they say. Yeah, so 55 combined points. The Lumberjacks were down at halftime on Friday. I had the pleasure of filming a portion of the All Access program, which comes out tonight at 6 p.m., episode 2. So on this channel, 6 p.m., Wausau East All Access, where we travel with the boys and the girls teams. We go to practice with them. We're in the locker room, pregame, halftime, et cetera, et cetera. And it's a fun one. They both did lose this week, but it's a fun episode, 6 o'clock on this channel.
All right.
Okay, plan for it. Let's see here. Here's an upside down of sorts, I suppose. Now, right away you look at, this is boys basketball halftime score at Wausau West. Of course, right away everybody's going to say 2. Wisconsin Rapids, yeah, they had 2 points. But Wausau West only had 29.
Yeah.
29-2, that's a halftime score. We think back to the 123-92 game that I talked about a few minutes ago. And then you look here in 29-2. What do you make of that, Dan?
Feels like we're missing a digit. That's what it feels like.
Yeah, 29-22 maybe.
Yeah.
But that was a legit score. 29-2.
The Wisconsin Valley boys have some really good teams. Maybe it's just that the gap between the top 3 or 4 teams to the bottom 1 or 2 is just so big this year that we're going to see this quite a bit from Rapids, Lincoln. Unfortunately, both sides, boys and girls this year.
2. It's not enough. It's not enough.
It's not enough.
No, you're not going to accomplish anything on 2. So we hope you all get better. We're cheering for you to get better.
Yes.
Because 29-2 doesn't. Nobody's happy with that. You aren't. We aren't. They aren't. Your opponent isn't. Nobody's happy with that. So keep practicing, kids. Listen to your coach. Hopefully they know more than you do.
Likely.
Probably. Yeah, probably. Wausau West just beat Spash last week. So
Wausau West is good. Yeah.
They are. I'm a little concerned with 29 points, especially when the other team only scored 2. What were you doing when you were on offense? Because you must have been on offense a lot because they only scored 2.
Yeah.
So what were you doing?
Yeah. I mean, honestly, a lot of times in games like that, the kids lose focus as well. Yeah. And the coach starts working on things in the first half instead of waiting to the second half.
I can see that.
But, yeah, it's an odd score both ways, I would say.
I didn't take a screenshot of this one, but people have to trust me. It's not as wacky as the other one I'm going to show. But here on this very show a week ago, you and I were planning for a January 17th.
Yep.
We were going to go all out, multiple cameras, and give the folks a real, and we still might, I don't know, we'll see what happens. I'm a little less enthusiastic about it now than I was a week ago, but I proclaimed that when Stratford boys they were scheduled to host the Auburndale boys basketball team on the 17th of January. I looked at the schedules right here live on this show, and they'll be undefeated.
Good chance.
Within a couple of days.
Yeah.
That was gone. It was done. See ya. Stratford got beat by Marathon.
At home.
At home in Stratford.
Yeah.
Marathon is, a good coach, and the kids have always bought into the program there. So maybe that's not that upside down. Maybe it is. It is a little.
Yeah. And I talked to Coach Jacobson after the game Friday night at Newman Catholic, and he really thinks that the ceiling of his team is high, mm-hmm. but his team only plays well for certain periods, and then there's lulls, right? Mm-hmm. Even in that Marathon game at Stratford, Marathon was up by 15 or 16. They made a bunch of shots, right? Teams do that. All of a sudden you make 4, 5, 6, 7 out of 8 threes or something, and you think you're amazing, and then they stop falling. And Coach Jacobson knows that they're not a consistent team. They have to be more consistent. I think his exact quote was, "We're good for 24 minutes out of 36.
Yeah,
we need to get to 30 You have to get to 28, to 30, to 32. So.
Yeah, a lot of coaches talk about playing in 4-minute segments. It's not exactly the point you're making, but something to think about. You extend it a little bit each week, right? 24 to 26.
You try to get better. You try to get better every game, every week.
So that was one half of the January 17th.
I was shocked. I was really surprised about that game.
That was a forecast. We talked about the forecast earlier, which in the weather world, I know nothing about what's going to happen out there. I walk outside, and I'm surprised at anybody.
It looks like it's snowing hard now.
Usually in the sports world, I know a little more than the weather guy knows about the weather. So anyway, that was half of what I got wrong. And then about 24 hours later, the other half of it, I end up wrong. And there he is, proud as a peacock, Coach Josh Paltz, the Assumption Royals head coach, as his Assumption Royals beat the number 1 team in Division 4, 48-40. And so now on January 17th, Auburndale and Stratford will have at least one loss. But at this rate, who knows? Maybe more.
Wide open.
At this point.
Yeah, the Merriwood South, wide open. It's a 4-way tie for first right now.
Yeah. And to that, we bring up this one here. What in tarnation? What is going on out there?
It's a cute dog.
It is a cute dog, yeah. What in tarnation?
We just don't know anything. I think that's, right when you think you have things starting to get figured out a little bit, you realize that it's teenagers who are playing who are playing a game.
It's a great reminder.
Yeah.
Great reminder. We've talked about this on the show and during broadcasts before, but these kids, they're 16, 17, they're fighting to get their driver's license. They're hoping mom or dad gives them the car to use. They've got homework that's overdue. They got a boyfriend or girlfriend that's mad or not at them, or they want one and don't have one, friends are, doing stuff, and, I got to go to practice, but all my friends are going to eat pizza tonight, and I can't go, and so all these things are happening.
It's true.
And it's all a disaster when you're 16 or 17.
Yeah, which really makes me wonder why there's games tonight, honestly.
Well, you're going to find out about it. Go ahead. We'll talk about the schedule here in a little bit, but I think your game is... I think it's an interesting game for sure. You talked about Marathon, and we just showed Coach Josh Paltz. So tell the folks about Assumption at Marathon, 15 tip. We may be wrong there. So tell us, what do we have to look forward to?
It's the only game tonight? Wow.
You're on, man. You are center stage.
Maybe I need a color guy tonight.
Oh.
Yeah, so did not think that 2 weeks ago when the schedule came out that we'd have Assumption at Marathon, that this would be a battle of first place teams. I just didn't, right?
No.
Marathon has not won at home this year. And they're undefeated on the road. Coach Paltz, Assumption, really doing a good job, especially the last couple of games. A little bit different going on the road tonight, right? Because he beat Edgar and they beat Auburndale at home.
Yep.
At the Lions Court. That's what we used to call it.
Lions Court?
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I get it. I get the reference.
So it's going to be a good game. I broke the news to Coach Jacobson Friday that Assumption had beat Auburndale, and you just see like it sunk into him of, we really have to look at this film.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, because we could be in some danger.
Yeah. All of a sudden, this Monday night game is really important.
Yeah.
Especially because Marathon gave up a 12-point lead late against Rib Lake. Otherwise, they'd be undefeated in conference.
All right.
Speaking of Rib Lake,
you've got a dandy tonight. That's what I'd say. Yeah. Speaking of, we hold some of the naming rights to Mark Miller's Team of the Week and teams actually, as he names his top 5 teams from the week prior, and you get to read Mark's stuff out there for free at Prep Hoops. Wanakee, Fort Atkinson, Prescott, Cambridge, and Rib Lake.
Yeah.
5 teams of the week. Boys basketball expert. Mark Miller here in our very state of Wisconsin.
I would say that's Mark Miller's list. I don't think we have a whole lot of say in it.
I say we encourage on the naming rights, and that's it. I have zero say, and I don't want to have any say.
Yeah.
Mark is great. He knows what he's doing.
He knows way more than we do.
Yeah.
About boys basketball in general, but boys basketball in the state, nobody knows more than him.
Yeah. I know there was a Merriwood South team that wondered why the Merriwood North team was picked.
It's true. It's true.
Keep going. Get on the list.
Yeah.
Keep going. You know, there's probably some recency bias in there, some name recognition that that Marywood South team just doesn't have statewide.
Yeah.
You know, just in the last 10 years.
Speaking of Rib Lake, quick. I'm
done. Yeah, go ahead.
And I'm not going to go well off the path here, but I called the Rib Lake Marathon game, and it was a doubleheader.
Okay.
And
That's
so
right.
so I got to tell a story that probably lasted way too long, but you know, there's a lot of lulls, especially in those games. And I told the story about the last time that I broadcasted Rib Lake was that sectional semifinal at DC Everest that we were at.
I was there, yeah.
When Rib Lake beat Pittsville, maybe? I don't remember who it was.
They did. They beat Pittsville that day, yes.
To go to the sectional final, which would have been Saturday. This was a Thursday night game.
Mm-hmm.
I think they were going to play Wapino Leona or something like that. Never got to see it.
Didn't nobody saw it.
No.
The whole world didn't get that game.
And just how creepy it was in there because...
It was weird.
Because there was only 100 people in the DC Everest gym.
Yeah.
Right? The whole field house. They had both sections pulled out and nobody wanted to clap or yell because like this COVID thing was getting ready to happen.
But yet we were all sitting hip to hip with each other though on the one side.
Yeah, it didn't make any sense. But
none of it ever made any sense.
Yeah, and there were people in masks and stuff, and I remember that we didn't really need the headphones because I could hear what you were saying.
Yeah, it wasn't noisy.
Yeah, we weren't at the very top. We were like right in the middle. We were like 10 rows up.
Well, because we could be, because there were so few people, and the camera's way better from there in that particular gym.
Yeah, so it was really a strange night.
It's a strange night.
And it's a night that I'll never forget. But that was the last time that I saw Rib Lake boys play.
Yeah, I remember all that stuff too. Our very own Cale Jacoby, it was his first game producing. He's now off to film school in London, England.
He is, yeah.
Off chasing the Austin Powers legacy over there. And after the game, I interviewed a couple of the Rib Lake boys. They came up, and I had reached out my hand to say, "Hi, how are you?"
Yeah.
And you were over there waving us off like, "No, don't touch each other." We didn't know that. We were going to melt if we touched. We didn't know. Because in the parking lot before we went in the game, all these things worldwide were falling down and being actually canceled. Things were melting and falling apart, and so we just kind of looked at each other like, "Hey, how's it going?" And then the interview took place.
Yeah, I was trying to tell you to not touch each other. That was the day after the NBA player was touching all the microphones.
Rudy Gay.
Yeah.
Or Rudy Gobert. Rudy Gobert.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was touching all the microphones.
He was my hero for doing that. As it
and he said,
out.
"Yeah, I have this virus. I don't feel anything, but I'm going to touch everything anyway."
Okay, let's. So you veered off the path. Let's veer all the way off the path here. On this show, we usually talk about high school sports. We're going to talk more about it. We've got another 35 minutes, Marywood Minute, coming up later. Weekly schedule. We'll talk to you about all those things, plus things that we find interesting, or things that we think of. Hotlines going off here, probably because I've screwed something up, and somebody wants to correct me.
I don't know.
Probably.
It is still snowing outside.
It's a sheet.
Yeah.
Sheets of snow. In the sports world, Major League Baseball, we lost one of the all-time greats a couple days ago, Ricky Henderson.
Especially if you ask him.
Yeah, Ricky was very proud of Ricky. I don't know if this is true or not, but there were because things back then. Rest in peace, Ricky. We're going to talk more about you though in a second. Things back then, it was mostly in print. You got very few, unless you lived local, and I've never lived in Oakland. I've only driven through it once. You just read whatever it was. Yeah. Anyway, so the story goes that Ricky saw a sign behind him that says John 3:16, and he said, "Well, that's fine for John, but Ricky's hitting 348." Ricky was all about Ricky. He was a tremendous athlete, great baseball player, and the all-time stolen base leader. Which we're going to put this up here as. So here's what I learned. You can take a peek there. This is for each franchise. Their stolen base leader. Now, for some reason, you are a Black C. That's the Cubs. Is a Black C. That must have been their first logo.
Yeah, that's a long time ago.
Well, that's where the guy who came from.
Okay.
Your franchise is a Cubs fan. Your franchise is stolen base leader, and your guy is Frank Chance. He had 402 stolen bases in his career. There's Frank.
Look at those uniforms. Chicago down the buttons.
Yeah.
The Cubs, the UBS is kind of not inside the circle. I like it.
Kind of, it's there. It's a very, the font and graphic design has really changed since 1930 or whenever Frank was stealing over 400 bases. So as we put the list back, it's a 402 for Frank. Now, I think most people know that baseball, especially at the major league level, is down the list of things I concern myself with on a day in and day out basis, even during the season. Although I do have a personal policy, I wear shorts from the start of the Brewers season till the end of it. I did violate that policy for the very first time back in October. It was like 20 degrees.
It was really cold.
I wore pants that one day in Abbotsford, I think we were. But anyway, that's my general philosophy with it. Okay, so I do pay attention to the Brewers. If they're not on, I don't watch baseball. And very often I don't even watch them. And I don't know what's going on with the other teams. That's me. But I do remember very vividly as a young boy, Paul Molitor, Milwaukee Brewers. He's the all-time stolen base leader for the Brewer Crew. 412 for Molly, as he was known back then. So 412, I don't know, maybe that's good.
How many did Ricky Henderson have?
867 for Rick.
Yeah, but he played for a couple different teams too. So
well, yeah, he broke it with the A's.
Yeah.
And I think after then he played elsewhere. He was a Yankee for a while, I know. And again, I'm not much of a MLB fan. So
yeah. Quick, my favorite story is about Ricky. Is he was stealing 100 bases, 110, 120 a year, right? Mm-hmm. He is also the major league leader on runs scored.
That would make sense.
Nobody has ever scored more than he has.
Yeah.
On the field.
Yeah, so probably the leader in total bases then too.
Yeah. Well,
or it has to be up the list.
Maybe.
Maybe home run hitters have more total bases. Anyway.
Probably, yeah.
Okay, sorry.
And so he was the league leader many times. 100, 110, 120 stolen bases. One season, he got hurt in May, and the second baseman took him out, right? Put his shoulder into him and just spilled him, right? And he was hurt for the rest of the year. So he had 30 bases. It was in May or something. And so the guy that won the stolen base record that year was Harold Reynolds, now at MLB Network.
Okay. Yep. I know Harold. I remember watching him.
He had 62, I think. And the day after the season, he gets a call from Ricky Henderson.
Okay.
He's like, "Hey, Ricky, what's going on?" He's like, 62 bases? He said, "Ricky's going to have that by the All-Star break next year," and just hung up. I love it.
Well, that's how you do it.
Yeah, I love
that's
it.
That's how you do it. I mean, he was talented, he knew it. Everybody else knew it too. But he knew it, and that's what was fun.
Yeah, he's fast. He's a risk taker. And, I mean, if you're fast enough, you have a big enough lead, they throw over to first, you can still steal it.
Yeah.
Especially if you're going on first move, just go.
Just go.
Yeah.
Yeah, he had a great move. He had a great knack for it. It's kind of a skill, right? And skill that everybody's good at.
A lot of walks. Just get on base. Mm-hmm. Get on base, make something happen.
I don't. Again, I've said MLB is down the list for me a little. It's such a long season. I do go to a game or two a year, so I'm not. It's not that I disregard it. I'm a fan.
It's like an old dog, right? Baseball is like an old dog, where he's always there, always trusty. It's not always flashy, right?
Yeah.
But it's always there if you need it.
So 1 through 9 on an average team, and the average guy on that team stolen bases for a season. What would you say? 15?
It used to be until the rule change. Yeah.
Now they're going up a little bit more?
Yeah, I think the leaders have like 80 again or something.
Oh.
Because you can only throw over twice.
Yeah, right.
And the bases are bigger, so there's less.
Yeah. Okay. Well, so I'm pretty close, though, probably.
They are making rule changes to try to make it more interesting. So props to it.
I would like that.
Pitch clock, amazing.
Yeah.
Really good.
Well, right, and it's taken 20 minutes off the average game. Or they're about maybe 15. I may be going a little too far. But about 15 minutes less now for the average baseball game, which is good.
It is.
Because in the summer, we got to mow the lawn. We got to go take the kids out to Little League. We got other stuff to do.
Yeah.
Get the kids to bed. Go out and do nice summer things because the sun is out till 9:30 at night. And who wants to be cooped up in the house watching a baseball game? Yeah, not really. Not really. Okay, my least favorite professional sport. This is below MLS, below darts, below bowling. They're professionals at that level too. Is the NBA. That's my bottom. My absolute bottom.
Yours shut down 30%, right? This year?
Well, and they haven't had me for 30% of my life. Now there was a time, I think we've talked about that in the show before, in the early to mid 90s, I was interested. Late 80s to early 90s, I should say. So call it 86 to 93. It was exciting. There were varied shot styles, and there were plays being run, and defense was a real key element of the game. All those things I value. Now it's totally different.
Yeah.
It's a 3-point shooting contest every night.
Yeah, and I talked to a lot of people about this, mostly because I'm interested. Because again, I don't watch the NBA very much. I watch maybe 2 games a year, and usually it's the playoffs or something, like Game 7 or something.
Yeah, if you get me in a finals or a conference finals Game 7, I'd probably watch half of it.
Yeah, and so, but I do have a lot of friends who watch a lot of it, and everybody knows that there's a problem. But what I'm seeing is that there's like 5 or 6 different things that make sense to me, and that's not good for your sport, right? Where baseball, it's too long. There's too many games, right? It's just like, I'm not 70 years old. I don't like baseball, right? Like the NBA, they're like, it's too many threes. It's no defense. It's guys are getting paid too much. The lines are too short. Like it's a lot of things. It's like, yeah, that all kind of makes sense. And I think in that sense, the NBA is kind of in more trouble, right? Because there's a lot. It's getting attacked from a lot of different directions.
Right.
My favorite proposal is instead of 2 points and 3 points, make it 3 points, 4 points.
Okay.
And change the math a little bit. Right? Because the 3-point shot is worth a lot of points, comparatively speaking. Right?
Yeah, a whole third more.
Yeah, you have to make 3 2s to make up for 2 3s.
Yeah.
Right? If it's 3 4, yeah, I mean, you're still going to shoot from beyond the arc. But why don't you just pound the ball at the rim?
Right, because now we've only increased the output by 25%.
Yeah.
Maybe that's not
enough.
enough.
Instead of 33.
Maybe that's not enough, and maybe we get back into some fadeaways and some screen and rolls and
some mid-range jumpers.
Mid-range jumper from the elbow, man, that was my favorite shot. You come off the screen from the elbow. It's a thing of beauty.
That's because we played in the 90s.
Yeah, I know it. Shout out Doug Zaleski, not 70 and watching baseball. You hit the nail on the head there, though. He can't get his eyes off of baseball. Yeah,
it's a slower game.
Well, it fits certain people.
I watch a lot of baseball. I'm a big Cubs fan, of course, and you really get to know your guys, right? Yeah. Like your 9 players plus the pitchers. You know everything about these guys, especially towards the end of the year. And like you really feel like they're sitting at your dinner table sometimes.
Yeah, and the team you root for is on the upcycle. Like Brewers, Royals, whatever. Those teams are on the down cycle, right? Where those teams are always cultivating the talent, seemingly cultivating the talent for those other teams, and then they get upcycled. I don't know who Adames just was signed by somebody. I don't even know who. Yeah. But probably not a mid-market team.
No, Mets or someone.
Okay.
Probably.
So different situation there. Okay, let's get back on course for high school sports. And I know Dan has been working at a feverish pace for the Merriwood Minute. And this is a great time to let it rip. Today's Merriwood Minute brought to you by Mid-State Technical College.
Ho, ho, ho!
Hey, Santa.
Welcome to the Christmas edition of the Merriwood Minute.
Sounded a little like a Michael Scott Santa Claus, but all right.
I might broadcast the whole game in that voice tonight. Much like those kids on Stranger Things.
Was it, Prison Mike? Yeah, it was a little bit Prison Mike and Santa Claus coming in together.
What did you eat in prison, Prison Mike? Gruel. Every meal, gruel. Much like those kids on Stranger Things.
Yeah.
Merriwood basketball is quickly moving towards the upside down.
Wow.
Yours truly was able to get some fixes done on the WisSports.net website.
Oh.
because the crossover games now count in the standings.
Perfect.
So you can thank me for that.
You've done good work.
Yeah,
Yep.
I do my best.
Extra gift down the chimney for you.
Yeah. Let's start on the girls' side.
Okay.
Ladies first.
All right.
Most teams are starting to slow down going into the break, with 2 inches of snow canceling most games on Thursday night.
Yeah. Well, but postponing most of them.
Yeah, postponing those games. All conference games, too.
Talked about this earlier.
Yeah. Assumption and Stratford both remain undefeated. Good season so far.
Okay.
Combined 15-0.
Wow.
Yeah. Assumption has their toughest game of the season Friday against Bonduelle over in Appleton.
That's right. So they play at the Herd.
The Herd,
Arena.
yeah. Marathon just keeps on winning close games, but the schedule will get tougher soon. I think Marathon's 6-1 right now. But they have not played Assumption yet.
Yeah.
Yeah. Over in the north, standings are very close. 3 teams within half a game of first place. As we approach, we're almost halfway through the girls' conference slate already. It's pretty crazy.
Right. Well, they seem, not only do they start a week earlier, but they seem to pack a lot of games in the first half of it, too.
It's true. Yeah, because they can play before Thanksgiving and after Thanksgiving, and the boys kind of don't have that.
Yeah.
Phillips feels like the best team in the north this year.
Loggers.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Prentice, Rib Lake, right behind them. So, power rankings.
Okay.
This year, we're doing all 12 teams. Do you want them 1 to 12 or 12 to 1? What would you like?
Let's go 12 to 1. Let's count them down.
All right, 12.
Okay.
The 1-7 Fighting Cardinals at Newman Catholic.
New Year's Eve style.
Yeah.
12. Okay. The ball's dropping.
11 Park Falls, Shawamigan.
Eagles.
2-6.
Yeah. Okay. And word is they'll continue on after the first of the year.
I hope so.
Which we're happy for that.
It would be fun to have them in the playoffs one of these years.
It would be.
Everybody qualifies. But
only if they want to.
But they usually don't.
Only if they want to. You can self-select out, and they have sometimes.
Number 10, the Wildcats of Edgar.
Yeah.
2-6.
Okay.
0-5 in conference. They're still looking for their first one.
Yeah, they had an all-time scorer in school history a few years ago, so it's different now.
It is different. 9, the Falcons.
Mm-hmm.
Abbotsford. 1-7. But they did get a win over Edgar, so that's why they're there.
Okay.
8, Athens. Your Blue Jays.
Mm-hmm.
Once your Blue Jays.
Yeah, I still have the Blue Jay studio at the home office, so I was sitting in front of it just the other day.
It's true. Athens 8, they're 1-5 on the season. So 8, 9, 10, 11, 12.
Combined for just a handful of wins,
Not
quite
great.
literally.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then there's a line.
Yeah.
Right? So Athens 1-5. Number 7, Rib Lake 5-3.
Okay. Yeah, I was impressed with the season opener for the Redmen
Against Columbus?
Against Columbus. I mean, they were up and down the floor, scoring points. They pushed the whole time. I was a big fan.
Yeah.
Hope they continue it.
6, the Buccaneers of Prentice.
Just north of Rib Lake.
Just north, very close.
Yep.
5-4. Phillips 5-2.
Okay, there's
They
the
slide in the
Loggers.
5 spot.
Yeah.
4,
Yeah.
falling this week. Auburndale 5-2. They lost twice this week. 3, Marathon 6-1.
All right, yeah, there you go. Coach Schneider has got his arrow pointing up.
Yeah, absolutely.
But that may be the max at 3.
I would say so.
Okay.
I'm guessing we're going to have this at the end of the year, and they'll be in that 6-7 range.
Okay.
Who knows? Number 2, Stratford Tigers, undefeated, 8-0, 6-0 in conference.
Yeah.
Number 1, the Assumption Royals, the number 1 team in Division 5, by some stretch.
Yeah, there may be another line there above Stratford, and then you have Assumption.
Yeah,
right?
I think
on that top shelf.
Yeah.
kind of
7-0,
situation.
but you know what? Stratford gets to play them twice.
Well, I was just looking at that. By the way, Stratford Marathon 3-2 played. They made history on Zaleski Sports a few weeks ago. They played in the longest basketball game we had broadcast, like actual, time on a clock. They played in the longest one.
Marathon plays a lot of really long games.
Yeah.
The Marathon girls.
Yep.
Really long games.
So you'll get to watch in person, I hope, but if not, we'll have it live right here on January 7th. So that's the second Friday of the new year.
That's a Tuesday.
The 7th is a Tuesday, so the first Tuesday of the new year I was thinking something else.
Yeah.
January 7th.
I know. I go back to work January 6th.
Okay, so you're right. Yeah. You're right. You wished it was the second Friday, but
it'd be nice.
It's not. Yeah.
It'd be nice. Yeah.
Assumption at Stratford. We'll have it live on the network. You should get up to Stratford and watch that one. And then
they close the season.
Likely, Assumption will be undefeated after that game, and then they finish, and then it's a chance. I've ruined just about every prediction I've made here in the studio over the years, but Stratford then will have a chance, perhaps, as long as they don't trip anywhere else, to do the co-champion business, which we're not in favor of. But I can see, Dan, February 20th as a reason we may break out all the cameras and head down to Wisconsin Rapids and put on a big show for the fun friends we have there. And Stratford at Assumption, February 20th. That's the regular season finale. Those are your two games there for conference. Yeah,
conference. Those are the top two teams in the conference. Yep. I don't think anybody's gonna complain about that.
It'd be a real upside down if it didn't happen.
You know what?
Way.
Maybe.
Yeah.
All right. On the boys' side, in the north, Rib Lake went on the road and beat Abbotsford on their way to becoming Mark Miller and Zaleski Sports Team of the Week in Division 5.
But mainly Mark.
Yeah. Phillips also got 2 road wins.
We supported Holy, though.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. But if you do have some complaints, feel free to send them to us, and they're going to just be gone as soon as they come in.
Well, right, yeah, we'll delete it, but unless, give some thought and, write a letter, but in an email. Make it sophisticated, and maybe you'll have a better shot than just a 2-sentence hate mail.
And if nothing else, maybe Mark will look at your team a little bit closer.
Maybe. Yeah, if I choose to share it with him. Yeah, okay. All right.
Phillips got 2 road wins, and it's really looking like it's Phillips and Rib Lake in the boys' side.
Yeah, sure does.
Yeah. Assumption got 2 single-digit home wins over Edgar and Auburndale. We talked about that. Marathon got 2 road wins at Stratford and Newman. They play tonight. What will be the only game on Zaleski Sports?
How about that?
Assuming that it stops snowing at some point.
I think we'll be okay. There's no school to cancel.
True.
So I don't think there's any authority that could postpone the game then. Once school is out of it, it's business as usual.
It's weird that they're playing without school, especially a conference game.
A little strange.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure how it happens.
Yeah, I don't think there was a postponement. I think it's just on the schedule. Yeah.
You'll get that sometimes with the football teams having success in the postseason, but neither of them made the postseason of football, so that wasn't it.
True.
Okay.
Last week's undefeated teams both lost. That was Stratford and Auburndale.
Yeah, weird. Upside down.
Right? So a 4-way tie for first place. 4 teams at 3-1. We've mentioned that the North has made strides against the South compared to past seasons.
Yeah.
And I was talking to Coach Pultz about this, that I don't think that the Mirrorwood South is going to get the same bump this year in seeding-wise. Right?
Why not?
If you're a 500 team, that Assumption was the last couple of years, right? They actually hosted playoff games.
Yeah, they've hovered on the 8-9 line, being
just under 500.
Just under 500, but the conference carrying them up from a 10 to an 8.
Right, because you get 2 games against everybody in the South. You usually beat up on the North, so you get an extra. Everybody gets an extra 6 wins usually, 5-6 wins.
Okay.
All right, 12.
Okay, here we go.
Newman Catholic.
Yeah, makes sense.
1-7.
Yeah.
11 Athens. 1-6. 10 Edgar. 2-4.
Football school.
Yeah, and Chequamegon is number 9 at 2-5. It's the same bottom 4 teams in boys and girls, I think, this year. Abbotsford is at 8. They're a 500 team, 3-3.
Okay. All right.
Prentice 4-2. They're at number 7.
All right.
I have the Coach Pultz Assumption team at number 6.
Okay.
And this is razor thin here, right?
All right.
Assumption's 3-3. Number 5 Stratford 5-1. Number 4 Marathon 3-3. But Marathon won at Stratford.
Just a few days ago.
Yep. So 3-3 ahead of 5-1. What does that mean? What do wins mean? Marathon won at Stratford.
Chance for redemption for the Tigers later on this season.
That's right.
Yeah.
Number 3 is Phillips, 5-1. Number 2, Auburndale, 5-1.
Yeah.
Why is Assumption 6, but Auburndale's 2? That doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
I can explain, but go ahead.
Yeah.
I will offer an explanation in a minute, if you'd like me to.
Go ahead.
Right now?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So we've been fascinated with Auburndale for the last number of years.
Yeah.
On the style that they seem to exude. Maybe it's not intentional. It sure looks like it. Where we want to play everybody within 4 points. This is where we feel
really
comfortable, and this is how we thrive. This is just how we roll. And sometimes that can get you in some trouble. And it looks like that may have been what happened on Friday. It got away from them. This 4-point margin they were expecting to hold got away from them. Field goal shooting went very cold. Royals fans are going to say it was because of our defense. That's fine. You can have that one. In the long run, and this is an opinion poll.
It is an opinion poll.
I share Dan's.
This is one man's opinion.
Well, this one now is two. Yeah, they're in the long run. Auburndale, I don't think is going to let that happen again.
No, I don't think so either. And I mean, do I think Auburndale wins the conference? I think they are going to finish top 2.
Yeah, I think they will. I think they will. Okay.
All right, and number 1, 4-2, Rib Lake. They're undefeated in the conference. They're the only undefeated conference team.
Look at the Redmen doing things. It is Rib Lake at Auburndale, January 23rd. Could that be a game we roll out all the cameras? Perhaps.
Could be.
Perhaps.
Could be. This week, when you're getting ready for presents, join us on Zaleski Sports.
Wait a minute. I'm getting gifts?
Games tonight and on Friday.
Okay.
Yeah. Maybe we'll see you next week with another edition of the Marywood Minute. I might have to break in, though. I don't think anybody's going to be here.
Well, I thought about this. Let's go through the schedule first. It'll make more sense to the folks at home.
That's good because I want 2-3 minutes at the end.
Okay. Well, good. I'm going to give it to you in that way. So Dan mentioned he is at Marathon tonight a few times. It's Assumption at Marathon. Tip is 7:15. We've had that confirmed now from a couple different sources.
Ross and Hannah.
7.
Dream team.
Hannah. Now, you should talk to Hannah a little bit.
Yep.
She was on the microphone Friday night in that very exciting Marshfield-Wausau East Girls Tilt. So ask her how it went.
Okay, I will.
And she'll likely ask for some advice. And then we'll talk more about Hannah coming up. But for now, Ross and Hannah on the ones and twos at 7:15 tonight, right here on this channel at Marathon. I'll be tuning in. Let's see. There's some sort of football game tonight. Boulder Dash, I say. Watch basketball.
I mean, it's not going to be a good game.
Uninteresting.
Saints are terrible. I don't know.
And then Christmas Eve and Christmas Day, no games. Now, maybe there should be. We can argue that later.
NFL games on Netflix.
There are on Wednesday. We get a Wednesday.
2 of them, I think.
Yeah, and I seem to remember San Diego a number of years ago, there were some wildfires, and they had to postpone the game a couple of times. They ended up playing on a Wednesday. I can't recall in my lifetime another Wednesday game. And I'm sure we can get on the X machine and probably find out, but a very unique Wednesday NFL game. And two games, right?
I think so.
On Christmas Day. And I think it was the same teams that played on Saturday, but they just rearrange each other.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, I like it. Okay.
We got the Scientists on Thursday.
Very much looking forward to it. They may be the best team in the state.
Yep.
I know Wisconsin Lutheran may have something to say about that.
They look good.
We won't get to see them play each other. I wish we could, but we won't. Different divisions, and they
was that
aren't
last
on the
night?
schedule.
Was that
Saturday night.
Yeah.
Yeah, fantastic game. What you do is you go on the Roku and you go to Zaleski Sports on there, or the old-fashioned way on YouTube. Wisconsin Lutheran and De Pere, we had the number 2 ranked Vikings, the number 4 ranked Redbirds going at it. Wisconsin Lutheran had the better of it, but go watch the game. It was it's a well-played high school basketball game. Division I now because of performance factor for the Vikings.
It looks different than the games that I broadcast.
Yeah, we may get a rematch of that one. Yeah, come play.
Is what I say.
Come Cole Center, we may get a rematch of that one. Maybe. Yeah, so speaking of Marquette and Wisconsin Lutherans, you get a chance to see the Vikings again on Thursday. Cager Knipple. Now think about a name there. Now a lot of people don't know this, but back in the olden days, basketball was sometimes played in a ballroom or just somewhere inside that was an open space. And then because of some facilities, there was some fencing around it to keep the basketballs in, and just the way that building was constructed. And so they were called cagers. in print, right? They were called Cagers. And so here we have, for Wisconsin Lutheran, Cager Knippel. Of course, older brother Con is a star, I guess I'll say, at Duke right now. Second best player on that team, maybe third, but still a star.
There's still time for those that like to prognosticate with their dollars in Vegas.
In the college game.
Yes. Take Duke. The odds are still good. Duke is really good, and they're going to be really good in March this year.
Yeah, there you go. So anyway, Cager Knippel and his Vikings take on Marquette. The name is escaping me. I don't know, I want to say Rams, but that's not it. Anyway, Marquette and Wisconsin Lutheran at the Wisconsin Basketball Yearbook Shootout, 6:15 tip. The schedules are on ZaleskiSports.com, so you don't have to memorize what I tell you. You can just go there.
That's Marquette High School.
Marquette High School. It's not the Marquette University. It's not.
I would take them over Wisconsin Lutheran.
I think so. Yeah. These are the different ones. This is Marquette.
And it is
High
on a college court, though.
Indeed, Concordia University is the site again this year of the WBY Rick Majerus Shootout. And then Milwaukee Academy of Science, number 1 team in Division 3, taking out Eau Claire Memorial. I believe the Abes are a top 25 team in Division 1. Rankings come out later. I'll remind the folks about that before you get your 3 minutes. So that's on Thursday. The action continues on Friday. Way too many games for me to just spill out here. You'd mentioned number 9 Bonduelle, number 1 Assumption from the Herd Arena in Oshkosh.
I have a doubleheader.
Tip is at 2 p.m. Marathon and Columbus Catholic girls boys doubleheader for Dan. Other games from the WBY in Stratford. Girls
all day in Milwaukee.
Girls in Marshfield. Boys basketball in Auburndale, and then I will be in. I believe it's actually Windermere. Florida, right next to Orlando. Knoxville Catholic of Tennessee, one of the best teams in the state of Tennessee, taking on my Marshfield Tigers, 1 o'clock tip. I start the day on the network on Thursday. How about that? Thankfully, I don't have to finish it because then you got to be way better. That closer's got to be the best one. So I'm the warm-up act.
Are you sure that you have the time zones right?
Yeah, 1 p.m. Central.
Okay.
I'm quite sure. I've only looked at it like 4 or 5 times since yesterday. Marquette Hilltoppers. Thank you, Dave. Yeah. A Hilltopper, a Ram, that's kind of the same thing.
Is it?
A little bit. Yeah, Rams climb to the top of the hill.
That's true.
Yeah. And a funny thing, I was at Marshfield Wausau East on Friday, boys basketball, and we were talking to some folks afterwards, and Coach Fisher, one of the parents came down to confirm that but the company was going to be at the games in Florida, because that's really unusual to be at a game, a team from Central Wisconsin, Florida, and then the broadcast team also going with. And that's where Coach said that and then clarified. We are not traveling with the team. We'll be meeting the team there. Unsavory characters like me, you don't want that to be misinterpreted as we're on the same plane as that team. Yeah. That'd be, team doesn't want me on their plane. I don't want to be on their plane. The action then finishes on Saturday, so all told about 30 games get you warmed up for New Year's Eve.
This week, Christmas week, 30 games.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Maybe more. I'm just eyeing it up here.
Yeah, it looks like a lot.
Maybe more. Marshall will play 2 more. They're in a bracket tournament, so we can't put those on there yet.
You don't know what time or the
no, don't know that. But you don't need to know either. All you need to know is ZaleskiSports.com. That'll lead you the rest of the way. I mentioned girls basketball rankings coming out later on today. Girls basketball rankings always released on Monday afternoons. Boys are always released on Tuesday afternoons. And VIPs on the website get to see those rankings. And then you can be smart around your friends and tell people, who the number 1 team is. And
it saves your login now.
Isn't that nice?
It's very nice.
Yep. And we also got this officialized today. If you choose a favorite team, you get a special section for your favorite teams too.
All right.
Kind of a real shortcut, as it is.
It looks like Auburndale is your favorite team. That's interesting.
I was experimenting with it.
I would have thought it'd been Marshfield.
I love the Auburndale Eagles. Somebody's going to make a thing.
Yeah, it could be.
A GIF?
Yeah.
Right? Somebody make a thing of that. They used to be called Vines. Now they're called that. They were that, then that, now.
Yeah, and there's this whole thing that TikTok is leaving, right?
That's a rumor.
Yeah, it is more than a rumor.
You think it's going to happen?
Happening,
All
yes. Right. And people are really sad about it. And hey, we were here for the dissolution of Vine.
Yeah.
Right? Vine was the first TikTok.
It was. 6 seconds. Right? That's what you had on the Vine. 6 seconds. Yeah, Zaleski Sports does have a TikTok. There's one video on it, and it's got like 6 million views.
All right.
Yeah, it's the Pacelli baseball rounding third base business from a couple of years ago.
Nice.
Okay, nice. Dan Ross, he's going to take up the rest of the airtime here. Go ahead, Dan.
All right, I am here to announce
Oh boy,
to the
I'm
world
a little nervous about this.
a 32-team bracket of the best popcorn in the area.
Ah, okay. Oh, this is good news. Okay.
All right. If you want your team,
Yeah. So
to
qualifications on making the round of 30, the field of 32.
Yes.
Okay.
If you request your school is in the bracket, let us know. Right?
Okay.
At Zaleski Sports on the X machine.
Yeah.
Right?
Best way.
Or hit me up on X or email us something.
I'm sure it's on your list, but I got to just blurt it out. You must pop your own popcorn minutes before the game starts to qualify to be in the field of 32. Okay.
Yeah. So 32, if we don't get 32 nominations, we will put local teams in here.
Yeah.
The
Well,
teams
we've
that
seen
were
some
at a lot.
popcorn.
Yeah. You might ask, what is this going to be scored on?
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
Taste, presentation.
Yes.
If you have a bunch of pre-made bags where the popcorn is literally trying to eat its way out of the bag, probably not going to win.
No.
Right?
No. Yeah. Serve it fresh and serve it to order.
Yeah. What kind of toppings do you have? Do you have salt? Do you have some like cheese sprinkles?
Yeah,
on there?
like cheese and ranch and chipotle, like those,
Yeah.
that could really get you through the bracket
Yeah.
if you had those offerings.
And what does the winner get?
Okay.
I don't know. Besides for us talking about how your concession stand has the best popcorn in central Wisconsin.
And that'll be handy because your concession stand is raising money for your team in school, so you're
Yeah.
going to want that.
Yeah. So we'll take nominations. We'll get more serious about it probably in mid-January.
Yeah. Would you take help from a podcast?
Yeah, why not?
So I'm still confused about it. I was alerted to this about a month ago. What's Poppin' podcast? A couple of Auburndale girls are.
Oh, that's right.
Doing, but,
that's right.
But I went to it and there were no videos posted. So I'm not sure how that works. How you're promoting your channel, but there isn't anything to watch.
It's tough.
I don't know. So if you're listening, maybe you can offer some suggestions.
Yeah. So 32 schools.
Okay.
If you want in,
Anywhere in Wisconsin.
yeah, I mean, going to Grantsburg on a snowy Friday night just to eat their popcorn will be interesting.
We'll
but
figure
I'll do
it
it.
out.
I'll
We'll
do it.
figure it out.
I'll do it.
Yeah.
It's not going to be just me eating these. We'll have the Zaleski Sports staff.
Yes, correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, 16 crews statewide, so there's help out there.
Yeah. And if you think, well, maybe we just had a bad night or something, we will retaste the popcorn every round.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
So the same person who's judging is going to do both schools.
So that 8-9, if the 8 gets by, but there are some real questions, we're going to go taste it again before the 8-1.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Just in case.
And maybe with a different taster.
Different palate.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's great news.
Yeah.
Great news.
It's something fun. We have talked about the importance of concession food for quite some time. We're going to do it. But just popcorn, because everybody has popcorn.
Yeah. Yeah, I know where the best hot dogs are, but not everybody has hot dogs. I know where the best pretzel with cheese is. Not everybody has that, plus I don't go there anymore.
Yeah, we're not really allowed there.
Okay, so popcorn. So enter the contest on X at Zaleski Sports. Tag us, message, whatever. Get a hold of us.
Yeah.
Okay? And when do you think the brackets would start?
Oh, I would say...
Got to give the folks a deadline of some sort.
Yeah, that's a good
Otherwise
point.
they get lazy.
Yeah, let me take a look at the calendar here.
And again, we're going to fill in, if we don't get all 32, we'll fill it in anyway.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
you can just put a date out there.
I think the tournament starts January 13th.
Tournament, all right. Tournament begins January 13th, so we need your submissions by the 12th.
Yeah. We need submissions. The last reminder will be January 6th here. But we need it. Submissions in by the 8th. How about
Now,
that?
if you come in on the later end, that could mean you're going to be slotted a little lower.
Yeah.
Could mean that.
It's true.
Okay.
January 8th. Get your submissions into us. January 8th. Tournament starts the 13th.
Okay.
I'm sure we'll find a way to get a bracket on ZaleskiSports.com.
Oh, there'll be no problem with that. Okay, good.
That's good.
Good. That does it. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. Go Sports.
Sports!